Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second half of our South Florida Tribune Broadcasting doubleheader. My name is Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Madmouth, and this is 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, and I have the Uno Dos Tres version of the show, and that's about the only Spanish I can cover is up to three, so we'll leave it at that. Or otherwise, they call it Three Amigos, and we're definitely not the Three Stooges. I'm feeling a little better than I was a week ago. With that said, let me introduce the crew of all of us. George Eichhorn, welcome back from round two.
Good to be back, Scott and Jordan and listeners, viewers.
Yeah. And Jordan, glad to have you back. I know last Monday wasn't going to work because after I had to try to get the show in, but it worked out anyways. And now we're back on a regular Tuesday schedule. So
thanks for having me, Scott.
Our pleasure. All right. What we're going to talk about tonight are four managerial situations, three of which are openings, and we're going to go over some of the scores. So that's what we have tonight. All right, George. Are you surprised that Buck Showalter is out with the New York Mets?
Not really, Scott. I mean, there's a situation there where obviously their expectations were enormous heading into the 2023 season, and we all know what happened. A bit of a fire sale. Verlander's gone. Scherzer's gone, and it just seemed like the handwriting was on the wall that they weren't going to keep Buck around. He's a good guy, a good manager. I know you've interviewed him before, and he really doesn't deserve this. But that being said, I hope he lands on his feet somewhere else. But nothing. The Mets are, again, trying to rework everything heading into the new season, and I'm not sure what direction they're going to go. But I wasn't totally surprised by it. No.
Well, they brought in former Milwaukee Brewer executive David Stearns and Steve Cohen, who's been coveting Stearns for a while, so it was inevitable they were going to have a change at the top. So, okay, Jordan, what's your take on that?
Honestly, I agree with George. I was not surprised that they let Buck Showalter go. I know a lot of it isn't his fault just because, it's the general manager, and of course they have a new one. But the thing is you look at his body of work, 2 years, not enough, but I'm not surprised. He only went he was pretty good, 175 and 148. But this year, there was so much high expectations for this team, trying to build a World Series team to actually go deep in the playoffs, and they just regressed. They went 74 and 87. So am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised that Buck Showalter was fired. Now it gives the Mets a chance, especially with the new general manager, to bring his own guy in.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Buck that his last two situations didn't fare well. Baltimore, he had success there, but it was a tough ending for him. And now with the 2-year situation, the Mets, it didn't end very well there. Now let's go to the Angels. Yeah, Phil Nevin is out with the LA Angels. Again, I'll go back to the same question, George. Are you surprised that Phil Nevin is no longer a member of the Angels? Their fifth manager, by the way, in 7 years. So,
I've always admired him, as you know. His roots are in the Detroit Tigers system. His son plays for the Toledo Mud Hens, Detroit's top farm team, and played for the Tigers for a little bit this year. So the Tigers are looking forward to having him challenge for a roster spot possibly in the spring. But getting back to his dad, not totally surprised. Again, another situation where the Angels, they're just like imploding. If they lose Ohtani, if they lose Trout, come on. It's going to be like to me, a rebuild. And maybe they just figure that with a possible rebuild in the horizon, again, let's go with a different guy leading the charge. It's typical of some of these owners and general managers. It's almost predictable some of the things they're going to do when they need to go, quote unquote, a new direction. So I wasn't totally surprised by that. But again, Nevin's a good guy. I hope he lands on his feet somewhere. He's a good manager.
Yeah, it was a shame when they even let Joe Madden go. Here's a guy that has won a World Series with the Cubs.
Yeah.
I thought there was anyone that could get that straightened out. It was Joe Madden, and now all of a sudden Madden and Nevin are both gone. All right, Jordan.
I wasn't surprised. Like George was saying, the Angels are imploding. You don't know what's going to happen with Shohei Ohtani in the offseason. Of course, they could actually end up trading Mike Trout, so they are they're going to be in a rebuild. The thing that I was surprised that he only got a year and a half. He went 119 and 149. But then again, they are rebuilding. They want to get a new guy in there. So I wasn't very surprised that the Angels let him go. I thought maybe they should have him for one more year. But after this year, it was clear the writing was on the wall that it was time to let him go.
I should point out that 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 8,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room. Also, send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. We'll match your suggestions or topics and put you on with the appropriate show and create that show for you. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter /X @Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes. And tonight she's watching the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. And we're going to get to scores in a few minutes. So I want to make sure we cover the managerial things first. Onward we go to Gabe Kapler. George, 4 years. He only got in the playoffs once with San Francisco. The expectations of the Giants are a lot higher than one playoff berth, especially since they had that record-setting year with like 107 wins or so. So Gabe Kapler, we're too familiar with him in Detroit.
And again, it's interesting. He's got roots with the Detroit Tigers too. Gabe Kapler, of course, he was a former Tiger player. Wasn't that good, but he's proven himself and done a nice job managing. Yeah, I didn't really expect that. I mean, again, I know these teams are disappointed. They don't make the playoffs, don't even make the wild card round. And some of these owners and presidents and GM, they're trigger happy. And I don't know the whole situation there. I don't know that he's a bit of a different bird. I mean, he's got a different kind of manager style that maybe they didn't like. But, I mean, he was, coming in and Bruce Bochy, I mean, you try to succeed a legend. I mean, come on. I think Gabe gave it his best shot. But again, a team that more was expected from this year that didn't materialize.
Okay, before we go on to the next subject, I do want to mention a unfortunate note. It's too bad to hear about the passing of Tim Wakefield. Here's a guy that certainly is an icon with the Boston Red Sox, played a couple of years with the Pirates for the majority of his career with the Red Sox. And as I understand, he's in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. So rest in peace, Tim Wakefield. You were everything that was good, that's good about baseball. When you have a guy that have World Series success, you perfected a pitch which is awfully tough to throw. So rest in peace. From what I hear, you passed away due to brain cancer. So Tim, everybody in baseball and hopefully all over the world is thinking about you, and we can be thankful that you're no longer suffering. So one more managerial thing to talk about: Aaron Boone being retained with an 82-80 record by the New York Yankees. George, let's talk about Aaron.
No, we've talked about him a lot on here in previous shows and going back a year or more ago. No, he's got to be. They've got to. I'm just surprised. I mean, there's still time; they could change their mind, I guess, but I doubt it. I was one of those that said that the Yankees would have to make a change. And Scott, you had the best guy lined up for that position, as I know. And you got to meet Don Mattingly, you got to know him. He's a friend, and cover him down there in Miami. And I'm not saying never say never, but yeah, I did not expect a vote of confidence for Aaron Boone after what happened this year.
Yeah, one of the major reasons he got a vote of confidence is from another Aaron named Judge. And it's pretty hard to go against Aaron Judge. And they had the support of the clubhouse. So I'd like to think that Aaron Judge's opinion matters a little bit. Gordon?
I was kind of surprised that they retained him because a lot of reports were saying, the clubhouse wasn't like that great with them. Of course, you just said Aaron Judge gave him a support of confidence. But, with New York, they're a team that, especially a franchise where if they don't win the World Series, it's a failure of the year. So basically the last 5 years or 6 years since Boone's been there has been a failure. He was 82-80, which is actually pretty good. You're above 500, but I was still surprised that New York said, you know what, we have confidence in him. We'll give him one more shot. I really thought he'd be gone, but they must be seeing something that I don't. But like George said, they could easily change their minds.
Well, remember one thing, Jordan. Hal Steinbrenner doesn't fire managers like his dad, George Steinbrenner. and Brian Cashman's there, so you knew if they retained Brian Cashman, I had a feeling that Aaron Boone was going to be there. But yeah, in fact, in the book I'm writing, I wrote a story on George Steinbrenner, and one of the things that I mentioned is, whatever you do, don't ask the boss anything about managerial changes, or he'll abruptly end an interview like he did with me. But luckily, I got the player development stuff in there earlier, so but I got the Ted Koppel treatment. He was George, certainly let me know what he thought about what my last question is, which he didn't like. And Ted Koppel of Nightline did. So he treated everybody the same, whether you were big or little. Don't talk about the managers, and he raved about his winning record. So I totally get it. All right. Well, one of the things, since I'm not a sports anchor for a local television, but I've hung around a bunch of them, let's go to the scoreboard. We're talking about MLB playoffs tonight. Arizona Diamondbacks 4, the Milwaukee Brewers 3, top of the 6th. 1 out, nobody on. Miami Marlins trailed the Philadelphia Phillies 3-0 in the middle of the 5th with 2 outs. And 2 final scores I have for you: Texas Rangers 4, Tampa Bay Rays 0. Yes, Bruce Bochy is with the Texas Rangers. Rangers lead that series 1-0. And the Minnesota Twins 3, Toronto Blue Jays 1. Twins lead that series 1-0. So I'll turn it over to you, George. Which one of these games stands out?
Well, I guess for me, the one that surprised me today was the Rangers shutting out Tampa Bay. And again, less than 20,000. The paid attendance, 19,000 something. Not a surprise. We know Tampa has trouble drawing. But the thing is that I thought that they were a little bit more prepared for this series. Obviously, they're hosting it. They're at home. But Texas, hey, take nothing away from them. They came in there. Bruce's team did a great job and swept them off their feet 4-0, not giving up a run. These short series are really, really tough because you best out of 3 now. Okay, 2 out of 3. I mean, you got to come back and you got to win to even it up. And then obviously, if you want to win the series, of course, it'd be even. But you go into a game 3 deciding it. But all I'm saying is that was the one, Scott, I think that most of all surprised me. Minnesota, yeah, the division is so weak. I guess that probably could be a surprise in a little bit because of the American League Central was so weak this year. Minnesota, of course, won the division, and Toronto comes in as a wild card. Tough American League East. But all this being said, keep your eye out for the Marlins too, because they're trailing 3-0. But they got a good young team. As you know, Scott, you've covered many of their games this year.
Right.
Philadelphia is more of a veteran team, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, bear in mind, Kevin Cash, to me, has done an unbelievable job with the Tampa Bay Rays year in and year out. It seems like they get to the first round, they get in the playoffs, but by the time they go further, it just doesn't happen. But I still think the Tampa Bay Rays overall, to me, are one of the best organizations in baseball with the resources they have, or in their case, lack thereof. 19,000 fans. I get it, but remember, this is a team that started 13-0, and now they're in the wild card round, and I think a lot of us may have expected a little bit more. So with that said, Jordan, you know the games. Tell me what you think.
Honestly, I was really surprised with the Tampa Bay Rays because I like you guys were talking about, that division where they play with the New York Yankees, the Baltimore Orioles, the Toronto Blue Jays. I thought this was going to be a better matchup for them, but the problem is I don't know how they got ready for this game. Especially, I know it's game 1 and you want to win at home. And I know there was 19,000 people there, but you made 4 errors and only had 6 hits. It was just a mistakes by them. And in a short series, you want to win game 1. So the pressure is on, the team that's down 0-1. But the fact of the matter is now Tampa Bay is in a must win tomorrow if they want to continue the series. But the Rangers with Bruce Bochy, they played well. So give them credit. Minnesota, I didn't think that was really a surprise. I mean, Toronto made some mistakes on the base paths, especially when Bo Bichette tried to score to make it a 1-run game. He was clearly out. But Minnesota's, a great team. As for, the Philadelphia and the Marlins, Miami's still a really good team. Even if they lose tonight, I expect them to bounce back tomorrow. So it does surprise me that Tampa Bay just played as bad as they did.
Well, I mean, George alluded to this fact that Miami, to me, I watched a fair amount of their games. They are just resilient, and the job Skip Schumacher and Kim Ng have done is nothing short of remarkable. These people, they are. I mean, when you looked at the and bear in mind, they got in the playoffs, but the biggest key component here, they did it without reigning Cy Young Award winner Sandy Alcantara.
Mm-hmm.
And this pitching staff, if you've ever seen a decimated pitching staff more than I've seen with the Miami Marlins, let me know. We've overcome so many different things, and we still made it to the playoffs. Resilient. Just remember, the Marlins, you just don't count this team out. You really don't. So, any closing thoughts, George, about?
Well, it's an exciting time of year, guys. Obviously, baseball is still at the center of the universe for people like us on this podcast. We love baseball. I did want to say, my closing thought, this fellow right here,
Right, yeah. Miguel there you go.
Cabrera, yeah. Great ceremony, great weekend to honor him. I know, Scott, you had a chance, and Candy, to see that honoring in Miami.
Right.
The Tigers did a first-class job. I mean, I don't know if everybody heard what happened, but supposedly he was going to be out of the game, but then they sent him out there to first base. He did not have a first baseman's glove, so Spencer Torkelson gave him his glove, and then he went out there, and nobody was around there, just the umpires. None of the teams came out, and so the Tigers did it perfectly. He had the field to himself, his last appearance defensively, and then the ball's hit to him. He makes the out at first base. I mean, you couldn't have scripted it any better than that. So Miguel was truly humbled and excited, obviously overexcited, and bringing his mom and dad back, his entire family, and it was a classy ceremony. The Tigers did themselves proud by having such a great salute to Miguel. So that was the big thing here in Detroit, of course.
Yeah, obviously they're looking toward the future, but right now you might as well don't have to look too far ahead. I mean, the Tigers had 78 wins, 84 losses, finishing in second place from this guy's final year. So obviously he's leaving the team right now in pretty good shape as they get ready to turn the corner. And I don't know what Minnesota's situation is looking like next year. I know the White Sox and Royals are struggling, but the Tigers could be a force to be reckoned with in that division, especially when they get Casey Mize and some of their other younger players as well. So, Jordan, what's about some final thoughts on your end?
Well, I'm going to go back to the Chicago Cubs. A lot of people thought that this team was a lock to get into the wild card. They were 71-62 going into September. A lot of people are looking at Sia Suzuki's arrogance in Atlanta as a turning point. Honestly, that wasn't it. They went 12-17 in September. You want to play your best baseball in September. They didn't, and 12 of those losses were actually 2 runs or less, including 4 extra inning losses. So if you look at that, you went down, 12-17 at the end, but if you win 4 of those games, you make the playoffs. So really it wasn't on Sia Suzuki's error. It was on the fact that the players didn't get the job done. End of story.
Okay. Well, with that said, that's the end of the show. So with that said, I'll let George let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I've got a book out there, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. We cover a lot of baseball in here, of course, led by our friend Ernie Harwell, who loaned me some photos that I used in the book. And it's a great read, especially for our local fans in the Detroit and Michigan area. And you can reach me, watch me and see me on the shows like 108 Stitches, Inside the Pigskin, the Sports Exchange, and Pundit's Pundit. Enjoy being on the programs with all of you. And you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com or on LinkedIn under my name. You can also reach me on X, formerly Twitter, at SandGSports99. So glad to be part of the show again tonight, guys.
Hi, Davey. All right, Jordan, go ahead.
You can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it at SportsScoop1. I have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays at sports-scoop.com. I also have a show called Under Review, which is my take on Colorado sports with a mixture of national sports headlines as well. And I'll tweet that out when I do it. Usually it's on Friday, so be sure to watch out for that. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn on my name.
Very good. All right. One last time, in case you're just joining us, just so you know, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Chat room's one way to do it, or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. You can find us on Twitter, X, at Tribune South. And once again, we are proud to have Katie Abling is behind the scenes. She does a wonderful job at the website, as well as putting the broadcast up and everything that's being asked upon her. And of course, she did a really great job helping me get on my feet. I want to make sure that everybody had to know that I want to thank everybody at Baptist Hospital last week. They were fantastic helping me get on my feet last week, and I'm forever grateful for them, taking care of me so I could do this wonderful show and entertain everybody here. So with that said, on behalf of George Eichhorn and Jordan Long, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We will catch you next Tuesday night. Good evening, everybody. Enjoy baseball. The playoffs are in full gear, and we'll keep you informed about some of the other news during the off season as well. Good night, everybody.